Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz, coming to you from Alaska's News Sources Digital Desk. Thank you so much for joining us this Monday morning. Starting us off, we have meteorologist Aaron Morrison, who's going to give us a breakdown over what our week is going to look like weather-wise. Aaron.
Well, thanks, Adelmi. We are watching some winter weather concerns out towards southeast. This is a live look out towards Juneau. You can see the snow on the roads. At times, we could see some whiteout conditions for parts of the panhandle as that heavy snowfall continues to grip a good portion of the region. We're at 14 degrees, winds out of the east, northeast at 5 miles per hour. We've got winter storm watches as well as winter storm warnings that are in effect across the panhandle. Temperatures are cold to the north, 4 below in Yakutat, 8 degrees in Haines. Meanwhile, as you head south through southern parts of the panhandle, temperatures are about 40+ degrees warmer in many spots, or about 30+, I should say. 14 degrees in Juneau, 33 in Sitka, and 41 degrees in Ketchikan. There's those winter storm watches shaded in blue, the winter storm warning for locations shaded in pink, and I believe that winter storm warning expires around 9 a.m. for an additional 5 to 8 inches of snow accumulation. Now, within the winter storm watch, we'll see about 8 to 13 inches, with locations of the southern panhandle mostly seeing rain. There may be a shot where we could see some wintry mix embedded within that, but largely expecting rain for areas around Ketchikan and surrounding locations. So snow in areas of rain snow this morning, that will increase later this afternoon into the evening hours as we tap into better moisture return across the region. And again, notice that rain primarily hovering through southern parts of the panhandle. Warmer conditions will build in across southeast over the next couple of days. You'll see this rain snow line beginning to inch its way further to the north as we head through the middle of the week. So that will lead to many areas seeing a gradual transition to some rain snow as those warmer conditions build back in across the panhandle. And active weather will likely stay with us for a good portion of this week. So expect the potential for up to a foot of snow accumulation through the next couple of days as you head through northern parts and central parts of the panhandle. You can see from Juneau and surrounding areas, we could see that potential for up to a foot of snow accumulation. And then where we see that rain embedded within some of that snow, notice how it eats away at the amount of snow that we'll see. Sitka, Petersburg may amount to about 3 or so inches of snow accumulation until that rain, or once that rain sets in, you will hold on to that slight chance for some snow. It was the third snowiest winter on record for Juneau at 134.2 inches of snow accumulation. The average annual snowfall in Juneau is just under 90 inches. So it has been a very wet and active winter season. Meteorological spring began March 1st. And the odds of spring snow starts off fairly decent for a good portion of the state. In Juneau, 90% of all years, and for Juneau, the record is from 1943 to present, 90% of all of those years bring at least one day where we have more than 1 inch of snow. Into April, that drops down to about 40%. So Juneau and many areas of southeast will begin to see the winter season on average wind down as we welcome in April, and it's gone by May. And then you can see that 7-day forecast. We're warming into the 20s today and tomorrow, back into the near and above freezing the latter half of this week with a better shot for rain snow in the forecast. And Adelmi, remember, set those clocks forward this weekend for daylight saving time.
All right, thanks for the reminder, Aaron. Now, school buses in the Mat-Su will not be running from today through, quote, the foreseeable future. And that is according to Teamsters Local 959. It's called an unfair labor practice strike, which starts today. They say this comes after negotiations with Durham School Services started last June. And we attempted to get in contact with Durham School Services over the weekend, but have not heard back yet. There's more information on the negotiations on our website. Apologies for the standby. I had to get myself situated for a little bit. Now, the Anchorage Fire Department says that on Sunday morning, one person was found dead after an apartment fire in Spenard. They say the fire was in only one unit and was mostly out before firefighters arrived. The origin and cause of the fire is under investigation. AFD says no witnesses reported hearing a fire alarm, but it says there were smoke detectors in the unit. The fire department says APD also helped evacuate people in surrounding units. Three Alaskan superintendents conveyed the worsening state of schools to lawmakers Friday. Those concerns come after lawmakers called conditions at Mount Edgecombe deplorable, and Anchorage School Board voted to close 3 schools last week.
I know how hard you fought last year to make sure that you're meeting the needs of Alaska's kids. But I cannot help but imagine what our schools would look like if they were fully funded or made whole.
Pictures like the one you're seeing now show concerns from those superintendents. The Cuspec School District Superintendent said the roof of their now closed gym began to crack during basketball practice.
That time and still were.
And in the Bering Strait School District, Stebbins School became a, quote, total loss to a fire that as they invest their dollars into alleviating oil spills from aging tanks, but though schools say they need funding, the path forward isn't clear. Lawmakers have to balance a tight budget due to decreasing revenues while continuing to have safe schools.
I would like to see us at least do an inflation adjustment for this year so we don't go backwards. We're in a tough fiscal situation, but we can't go backwards. I don't want to see that. Our students don't want to see that. Our families don't want to see that.
The challenges we're going to have to kind of work through more is there's bigger needs than we have budget. That's the harsh reality behind it. So how do we make the dollars we have work to kind of get into some of those other areas? The state of our facilities are really challenging.
Over the summer, lawmakers overrode the governor's education funding veto of $51 million, a decision Dunleavy made due to decreasing oil revenue. For more details on what the superintendent said, visit our website and our mobile app. And Mushing fans flocked to downtown Anchorage Sunday to see the last day of the 2026 Ferrandi Open World Championships, hoping to see history be made, and they weren't disappointed.
Making here 11 Ferrandis. No human has ever done that before. And Buddy is across and is now the new record holder for the World Championship.
Canadian musher Blaine Buddy Streeper came home to win his 11th Ferrandi Open, breaking a tie with the great George Hustler at La for most all time. Just moments after crossing the line, Streeper took a moment to let the achievement sink in.
It really was awesome. It was a team that was just working as a chemistry. It was just a fluid motion at the way they were running as a unit, and it was awesome. I just had a tremendous run. It was wonderful.
Taking a look at the unofficial results, 2025 winner Annie Mallow finished a strong second with Greg Taylor rounding out the podium. All 17 teams that entered finished the race. The World Ice Championships is all about transforming massive blocks of Alaskan ice into towering masterpieces, but the real heat is in the judging booth. Lead judge Dan Reblos, a 40-year veteran of the craft, oversees a rigorous 1,000-point evaluation system, from how accurately artists depict human anatomy to how well they execute their vision. Judges analyze every chisel mark under a metaphorical microscope.
But for me, a lot of it is that wow factor. You know, when people walk up, almost everybody that walks up to this sculpture, their first word is wow. And this has got the wow factor. Other than wow factor, it's just finished. Every aspect of the ice that when we walk around it, is touched by a chisel, polished.
You can catch the World Ice Championships for a few more weeks. And it's been a snowy February in Fairbanks, and one family got in on the action using their Make-A-Wish to visit the Golden Heart City and build a snowman. Alex Bengal caught up with the family to learn about their trip.
All right. Good job.
That was fun.
Hailing from southeastern Georgia, Evelyn Tarantino doesn't see a lot of snow.
We don't get any snow, and she wanted to have enough snow to build an Olaf and see the lights like in Frozen, because Elsa is one of her favorite princesses.
That desire brought Evelyn, her mom and dad, and her brother Dominic up to Fairbanks earlier this month, courtesy of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Every step of the way, they made sure everything was working, and schedule-wise, I mean, we literally didn't have to plan anything.
Evelyn has tricuspid atresia, a congenital heart defect.
Most of the time, you're planning everything from doctor's appointments to scheduling procedures and surgeries and treatment and medications and all of that. And I mean, as parents, it gets exhausting.
And this trip provided a welcome vacation for the whole family, taking in everything interior Alaska has to offer.
When we first landed, that was the first thing they wanted to do, even at 1 o'clock in the morning, was to go ahead and play in all the snow.
From trying local food to dog sledding, going on a Northern Lights tour, and visiting Chena Hot Springs, the Tarantinos spent 5 days in Alaska, their first time in the 49th state.
It's much prettier than I thought it was going to be, and cold-wise, I was expecting it to be cold. This is definitely colder than I did expect it to be, though.
Yeah.
Evelyn was shy in front of my camera and let her mom do most of the talking, but was happy to report that she was turning 7 on this trip.
I'm getting to turn 7.
Celebrating with a snowman, a snow angel, and the beauty of Alaska.
I don't want to leave.
Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
Well, it looks like they had a great time visiting the 49th state. And premiering today for the very first time is Aging Untold, Alaska's News Source's newest talk show focused on the journey of aging in America. Each episode features a panel of experienced industry professionals who will offer insights and solutions for people entering a new chapter of life, as well as their caregivers. We spoke with the co-hosts about some of the topics you can expect to learn about.
People are out there alone. We're going to cover topics that are so varied and we find so helpful. Topics ranging from, should I move into assisted living? What should I do with my mother? She wants to stay at home. Health issues, financial issues. We've got a wide range that we're covering with good information and solutions related to those topics.
Again, Aging Untold premieres right here on Alaska's News Source at 2 p.m. And we are going to take a very short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some major national and international news that you're going to want to hear about, including what's ahead this week in the government and what is going on with the U.S. and Israel and Iran that happened very recently. So you'll want to hear those stories, and we'll have more when we come back. Welcome back into the Morning Edition Extra this Monday morning. The U.S. and Israel launched new airstrikes against Iran, and today officials confirm there have been U.S. fatalities. Congress returns tomorrow, and a White House official confirms lawmakers will get the first set of briefings on Tuesday. Alice Barr has details from Washington.
This morning, the Pentagon confirming 3 U.S. Air Force fighter jets crashed in Kuwait, mistakenly shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses during active combat under Iranian attacks. All 6 American crew members ejected and were recovered safely. It comes amid growing violence in the Middle East, with Israel and Iranian-backed Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon exchanging fire, following this weekend's U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran.
Mr. President, who do you want to lead Iran?
President Trump is back in Washington, lawmakers returning tomorrow for the classified briefings many are pressing for.
Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in the Saturday strikes, and now 2 sources briefed on the matter tell NBC News the attacks were timed based on intelligence Khamenei would be at a meeting with senior leaders. As Iran strikes back, 3 American service members are confirmed killed in action. U.S. officials tell NBC News they were part of an army unit based in Kuwait. 5 others were seriously wounded. President Trump mourning the losses while warning.
And sadly, there will likely be more.
The president told NBC News in a phone interview he decided to act because Iran was unwilling to say they would not have a nuclear weapon following weeks of negotiations. Reaction from Capitol Hill largely split on party lines.
I think the president has started a war of choice. There was no imminent threat to the United States.
The largest state sponsor of terrorism, Iran, is close to collapsing.
Across this country, Iranian Americans hoping for freedom, while protesters fear a spreading conflict. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Alaska's all-Republican congressional delegation responded publicly following the strikes on Iran. In statements released Saturday, the delegation voiced support for toppling the Iranian Supreme Leader. Senate Armed Services Committee member Dan Sullivan weighed in on the strikes during an interview Saturday in Anchorage. Sullivan was attending a field hearing on Arctic security infrastructure at the University of Alaska Library Consortium. Sullivan says he is likely to vote in support of the War Powers resolution this week. However, he expects the Pentagon to brief the Armed Services Committee as early as Tuesday.
You know, every president has had the goal of making sure Iran doesn't obtain a nuclear weapon. That would be horrible. The world's largest state sponsor of terrorism getting a nuclear weapon does not have ballistic missile capabilities.
In a statement released early Saturday morning on X, Senator Lisa Murkowski commended the, quote, extraordinary bravery, discipline, and professionalism of the troops who carried out this mission, adding, there is no question that Iran's brutal regime must be held accountable for its ongoing aggression abroad and its ruthless repression of its own people. Representative Nick Begich said the strikes were necessary and, quote, I look forward to the forthcoming classified briefing to Congress on these actions, which will provide members with critical details on the operation. We have more details on our website and our mobile app. And the military operations against Iran tops the week ahead for Washington. Also, the 2026 midterms election cycle begin with primary elections in 3 states. Our Washington correspondent Katrin Asaf previews what's on the agenda.
Operation Epic Fury, the weekend military operations carried out by U.S. and Israel against targets in Iran, tops the agenda for Congress's lawmakers' return. Democrats in both chambers called for Congress to return as soon as possible for classified briefings on Iran and then a move to vote on the War Powers Act. The Constitution gives Congress the power to declare war on another country. Congress's return to Washington was originally delayed due to the start of the 2026 midterm election cycle. Tuesday, voters in Arkansas, North Carolina, and Texas head to the polls for primary elections. A lot of attention is being paid to both North Carolina and Texas because both states are in a similar political pickle with congressional redistricting and tough primary races for Senate seats. And this week, the Reverend Jesse Jackson is being laid to rest. He'll be honored Wednesday in Washington before a final memorial service next Saturday. That's your week ahead in Washington. I'm Katrin Asaf.
And we'll be right back after this very short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about student loan repayment changes, what is happening there, what changes you need to be made aware of. We're going to talk about a popular cat food that has been recalled and how businesses are navigating the penny, or the loss of the penny, actually. So we'll be right back after this short break. Stick with us. Welcome back in. Thank you so much for sticking with us on this Monday morning's Morning Edition Extra. So big changes are coming this year to the student loan repayment plans. There's one that starts this summer. You need to know about if you have student loans. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa explains what you need to know in this Watching Your Wallet.
Starting in July, there will be a new income-driven repayment plan called the Repayment Assistance Plan. Robert Farrington, the founder of the College Investor, says this plan will be the default option for new student loan borrowers after July 1st, and it does things a little differently than existing plans.
It ties your monthly payment to 1 to 10% of your adjusted gross income, but it does have some really great features, such as no negative amortization, which means your loan balance can never grow, and it also includes a $50 a month principal reduction subsidy. So if your monthly payment doesn't pay off at least $50, the government will make sure your balance goes down by at least $50.
Farrington says the trade-off is this is a 30-year repayment plan, not 20 or 25 like existing plans. So you may have to pay your student loans for a little longer, but you will always be making forward progress on those loans. And he says if you are an existing student loan borrower, your options for repayment are also narrowing.
If you're in the Save Student Loan Repayment Plan currently, which there's about 7 million borrowers on it, you will be made to choose a student loan repayment plan here in the next several months. We don't have the official timeline for that yet. We are waiting on final guidance from the Department of Education, but your options today are going to be the income-based repayment plan, or you could maybe wait until this new repayment assistance plan comes out.
Barrington says several current plans are being phased out, and you will likely have to make a choice at some point over the next year. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Pet owners need to check your cabinets before you feed your cat. Go Raw is expanding its recall of its Quest cat food, chicken recipe, frozen products because they may contain low levels of thiamine, which is essential for cats. The new recall covers 2 lots that were sold in 2-pound bags. They have a best buy date of either May 17, 2027 or June 16, 2027. According to the FDA, the company has also ordered all Quest products to be pulled from store shelves until the issue is addressed. The company initially reissued a recall earlier this month for a single lot of the freeze-dried nuggets that was sold in a 10-ounce Ziploc bag. That product had a best buy date of October 15, 2027. Consumers should stop feeding it to their cat and return it to the store for a full refund. And paying with cash nowadays may cost you a bit more at the store or a little less. And it's because of the ongoing penny shortage after the U.S. Treasury stopped penny production last year. As Ali Ducello reports, some businesses are dealing with it by rounding cash purchases up or down.
This is actually a bag of $1.50 worth of pennies that one of my team members brought in to just help with the penny shortage.
They're pulling shots from espresso machines
16-ounce ice mocha
and pennies from their own pockets. Baristas making sure the business is stocked with pennies so they don't have to charge cash-carrying customers extra, even if only by a few cents.
We have like bags of like dollars worth of pennies.
The same goes for many households in Hawaii, where jars of pennies are sitting on shelves and counters, collecting dust. The U.S. Treasury stopped penny production late last year because creating the coin cost more than 3 times its worth.
It's a little difficult as a business. It's either we absorb that or we have to charge it out.
Among the colorful coffee cups on the counter at Lion, there's a new sign reminding customers about the change, suggesting they pay with the exact amount or with a card.
Just bear with us. We're just trying to figure it out.
Some at the shop weren't hard-pressed, confident their cup of coffee was worth an extra 2 cents.
We're hooked. Everyone's hooked on the coffee. Rounding up, I think, it's happening. So you can't really avoid it. And I'm okay with it.
Another similar sign of the times posted at Target Ala Moana, notifying customers paying with cash that the change they get back may be rounded up.
It's just easier to do tap and pay. So I use Apple Pay quite often. When I do pay with cash, I just throw my change into a jar when I get home.
But think about the mom and pop's corner of your block. You know, they basically deal with 100% cash transaction.
To ease the burden on cash-only merchants, Victor Lim of the Hawaii Restaurant Association has been pushing for House Bill 2346, which would standardize price rounding.
2 and under, you round up. 3 and up, you round up, So that's basically, what we learn in elementary school, and we're asking people to apply this common sense way of doing business.
Lawmakers advanced the standardized price rounding bill earlier this month and referred it to the Committee on Consumer Protection and Commerce. And we'll be right back after this next really short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about a couple of stories about, 1, the emperor penguin, 2, we're going to talk about the connection between snacks and our brains, and the impacts of football. So stick with us. We'll have those stories and more when we come back. Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us. Scientists say shrinking sea ice is putting Antarctica's iconic emperor penguins in unprecedented danger. Look at this cute little guys. Researchers discovered the new threat to the flightless birds while analyzing satellite images. They watched penguins being forced into smaller and more crowded groups as ice disappeared beneath them. And it happened at a vulnerable time during molting season, when penguins shed their old feathers and grow new ones. Scientists say cooling the climate is the only way to give the majestic penguins a fighting chance. And your head might not be listening to your stomach. A British study analyzed brain scans of trial participants who were given as many sweets as they wanted. Even once they were full, brain activity continued to respond strongly to the food. Researchers say even people with excellent self-control may be undermined by these automatic neural responses. And a new study suggests the more someone plays football, the worse their cognitive performance may be after 40. Boston University researchers looked at nearly 4,000 former players from all levels, from youth to professional. They found associations between repetitive head impacts and cognitive, mood, and behavioral impairments, with some conditions like depression likely to be more reported in elite players. And more evidence that later school start times, offer big benefits for teens. High schoolers in Sweden were given the option to start school later, allowing them to sleep in an extra 45 minutes. Students told researchers they had fewer problems falling asleep, their quality of life improved, and they did better in math and in English. Now, we'll be right back after this next really short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the Saturday Championship that occurred in Kipnuk. We'll be talking about how a community digs out together, if you're curious about that. We'll be talking about Peeps and Bath and Body Works, which I find very intriguing. And we'll be talking about a zoo dog day. So stick with us. We'll have those fun stories and more when we come back. Welcome back in, and thank you so much for sticking with us for the Morning Edition Extra this Monday morning. Now, after former Typhoon Halong struck Western Alaska in October, no one knew whether Kipnuk's basketball season would even be played. But as Charlie Fellows shows us, 4 months later, the Falcons took the court with a chance to win a championship.
Game does so with every team that makes it to their championship game does so with a story. No two are the same, of course, but they carry some common through lines: hard work, overcoming adversity, and a lot of hometown pride. In that sense, the Kipnuk Falcons seem right at home. It's only when you zoom out from the gym that you realize their story is much more unique.
It keeps my mind off from what happened in October, and I'm pretty sure it keeps their mind off too.
Anne-Marie Paul leads a Kipnuk squad that had to evacuate its village after former Typhoon Halong struck the western Alaska coast. The Falcons may be far from their nest, but they've found a way to not only field a team, but field a good team.
I've seen them improve a lot after seeing what they went through, and then coming out here, being close to each other. Yeah, I've seen that they adapted well to it.
Paul's team is fast, frantic, organized chaos, a play style that channels the uncertainty that led the Western Alaska squad to be playing in Anchorage this season in the first place.
I thought we weren't going to have a team when I got a call from the LKSD student activity. I was really excited for that.
That play style kept Saturday's matchup with the Chugiak Mustangs in the C-Team Championship close, but ultimately the Falcons came up short. But even in defeat, their fans stood tall. A reminder that even though they'd left their hometown, that hometown pride had made the trip. Charlie Fellows, Alaska's news source.
You've probably heard the phrase, teamwork makes the dream work. That rang true in one Rhode Island neighborhood this week as neighbors came together to shovel more than 3 feet of snow that was dumped by the record-setting blizzard. Abby with the Cavalli reports how they are showing what it means to be a good neighbor. And again, this didn't happen this week, this happened last week.
It's a sight some New Englanders still long to see. Clean pavement, but it's visible here on Newport's Curry Avenue.
We have a tight-knit street. It's an awesome little community.
The day after the big blizzard, a text to rally the troops hit the neighborhood group chat from the man they call
Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy. James Hatfield called for noon sharp.
When Uncle Jimmy put out the signal for everybody to come and shovel, everybody came out without any questions, and we ended up digging ourselves out.
The neighbors agreed to help themselves and take a load off the snow removal crews.
They're overwhelmed, understandably.
So under the bright Tuesday sun, each family filed outside and got to work.
We decided to take matters into our own hands, and old school hard work and camaraderie.
I was out here in a t-shirt. Everybody just got a shovel, used whatever they could, and we got it done in a couple hours. Better off for it.
Some neighbors have lived here on Curry Avenue for decades.
Many hands make light work, and that's exactly what it was.
Some only a few days.
This is Bowen. He was born last week.
Last Sunday.
Little Bowen, named after Bowen's Wharf, a nod to the place his parents love. And if this new addition to Newport needed any help, everyone made sure it could get here.
To me personally, it was just great to see us come together, that we could all come together in this neighborhood regardless of our beliefs, regardless of anything. We all came together to help each other out, and that was wonderful. Really warms the heart.
A record-breaking blizzard, dumping feet of snow, but uncovering the beauty of being a good neighbor.
No, I'm actually kind of glad that we had the opportunity to do something that we're going to be talking about for a very, very long time. So, in a way, kind of glad the plows didn't come.
Bath & Body Works is launching a limited-time Peeps collaboration for spring and Easter. The joyful, nostalgia-driven collection brings the iconic marshmallow treat to life across body care, home fragrance, decor, and accessories. The collection features a marshmallow gourmand fragrance, Keeping It Real, developed with world-class perfumers. The scent blends fluffy marshmallow, sugar crystals, and whipped vanilla to deliver a true-to-life, crave-worthy fragrance experience inspired by Peeps. The collection is available in stores and online now. Now check this out. Police in Atlanta, Georgia are warning parents that they may need to check what they're packing into their students' school lunches after this turned up in one. A Cutwater lemon drop martini. That seems like it may have been a slight oversight or mix-up. It does look rather innocent at first glance until you realize that's an alcoholic beverage. Let's just chalk it up to the parent having had their own the night before. So yes, be very careful with what you're packing your students' school lunches, as we do not want our martinis to end up in them. And it's time for another one of all of our favorite things, Dachshunds racing. Although it doesn't look like too many of these guys knew they were in a race, they seem to think it was a meet and greet and a hanging out with their humans type of day. This race, I don't think you can really honestly call it much of a race, but it took place in Green Bay, Wisconsin during the hockey game. Now, they didn't list a winner of the race, and one can only speculate that they must have had a very hard time picking one. Oh, look at the little guys. Oh, so cute. I love dogs. I love puppies. This must have been so exciting. And yeah, they must have just thought it was a casual get together with each other, just meeting each other, a little bonding time with their humans. Well, the Dallas Zoo held its first ever Dog Day on Friday and declared it a tail-wagging success. They shared this footage of their four-legged guests exploring the zoo along with their two-legged companions, of course. And according to the Dallas Zoo, they had almost 200 furry visitors by noon on a day of beautiful and mild weather, as they phrased it. Well, it must be nice to go outside without about 14 layers on, as we do here in Alaska, but I'm so glad they had a very good time. Look at the little guy with the boots, and they're all dressed up in their little sunglasses and baseball hat. Oh, that is adorable. I would love to go to a zoo knowing that there's a lot of dogs there on top of all the animals that they have at the zoo. Well, that wraps up the morning edition extra for this Monday morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for starting off your day with Alaska's news source. We'll see you again at noon for the latest in news, weather, and more. Have a good day.